Hi guys, welcome back to Sacred Vedic Astrology. My name is Samantha and I'm so blessed to be a professional Vedic sidereal astrologer. What we are doing on this channel is bringing the ancient, accurate, and yes, predictive system of Vedic astrology into the Western world or wherever you're watching this, and trying to bring that ancient version of astrology or Jyotisha back into the consciousness of those who may only know about Western tropical astrology. I studied Western tropical astrology essentially my whole life, and I remember I found my Vedic astrological chart when I was maybe like 14 years old, 15 years old, and I looked at it. I said, I'll never in my life be able to understand this because it is so complex. And then I put it down and I said, nope, I'm not doing that. It's too complicated. Vedic astrology is so complicated. And then upon a series of events, came back to Vedic astrology and got trained and really dedicated myself to learning Jyotisha. So Vedic astrology is a deeply complex system of astrology, but the rewards that you gain from it is really profound. All right. So what we're going to discuss in this video is the transit of Saturn or Shani shifting into Pisces March 29th, 2025 until June 2nd, 2027, and then it returns to Pisces October 20th, 2027 until February 23rd of 2028. This is so important of a transit because Saturn is a very slow-moving planet in astrology, meaning that it is a longer transit than other planets, right? It's not like Jupiter, it's not like Rahu, it's not like Ketu, where it happens for a year. We're getting that Saturn transit for a longer period of time, all right? And we feel it collectively. We're always going to be feeling the shift of Saturn on a collective scale. Saturn, or Shani, is the karaka, or the indication of practicality, hard work, restrictions, discipline, structure. So Saturn is the energy of the structures that we have in place to keep society going, right? Saturn is the energy of duty and discipline. So a very Saturn energy is like government, right? Because that is the most structured system that we have, even though it's actually a mess. That's the energy of Saturn, right? And then we get the sign of Pisces, right? Which Pisces is that energy of creativity and spiritual consciousness and lofty ideals and health and wellness and well-being. And they are coming together. So we get Saturn and then we get Pisces and they're merging, right? So we get all the Saturn themes of discipline, practicality, hard work, and structures and restrictions. And then we get Pisces, that energy of consciousness and spirituality and growth. And they're kind of opposite energies in a way, right? So that serious energy is coming in to all those Pisces themes and asking us collectively to get more serious around them. So we are going to discuss in this video how we can expect this energy to manifest collectively, what we're going to see happen when Saturn shifts into Pisces. All right, so let's get into it. Saturn in Vedic astrology, or Shani, is the karaka, or the indication of discipline, structure, systems, government, right? Saturn is very much the energy of the systems that we have put in place that like to remain the same. Right? Saturn is not the energy of, things wanting to change and evolve. Saturn is that restrictive, strict energy that is more systematic by nature. Saturn is the energy of order. Saturn is the energy of things that move very slowly, right? So Saturn can also bring about some blockages or some issues as well that we have to face and that we have to look at and that we have to work through. There's that karaka, or that indication of Saturn, and then it's moving into the sign of Pisces, which is pretty different energetically than the energy of Saturn, right? Saturn doesn't thrive in the sign of Pisces. However, it is going to bring a very interesting seriousness to the Piscean energy, which Pisces is that energy of creativity. Pisces is that energy of universal love and universal consciousness. Pisces is that energy of spirituality and health and healing. Pisces is very much that energy that is more that higher octave, right? Virgo is the opposite of Pisces. So when we have a lot of Virgo energy active, we get very nitpicky, we get very critical, we want things to be perfect. I have Sun conjunct Rahu in Virgo, so I know that energy very strongly. But Pisces is the opposite of that, right? Pisces is trying to let go of control. Pisces is trying to dissolve, right? Pisces is trying to merge into things. So Pisces can be that energy of wanting to merge with people and merge with spiritual practice and merge with the arts and merge with all things creative. That's very much that Pisces energy. So Saturn is going there, and Saturn is, not really the same as that Piscean energy. It's pretty vastly different. So Saturn is going to come in and want us to get more serious, wanting us to get more restrictive, wanting us to get more methodical about those Pisces themes, right? So how can this show up? This can show up collectively as people getting a lot more serious and more practical about their approach to all things metaphysical, all things creative, all things intuitive, all things Piscean, right? We might find that we have to get more serious about our healing in a way that's more of that Saturn energy as well too. It's going to be a really interesting time that can bring about self-awareness and spiritual development and huge transformation and change collectively in all of the ways that we heal, all of the ways that we heal within structures and systems as well too. So this can be a time over the next 3 years where people actually feel like they want to bring more spiritual or metaphysical healing modalities and methods into structured places, right? We can find that maybe schools, maybe the school systems, maybe the healthcare systems, these larger systems that are in place, which is very Saturn, are going to be having discussions about like, well, should we bring in, some meditation? Should we bring in a class on how to meditate, right? It's like bringing those more Pisces energies into the structured, into the more systematic places is going to be that Saturn and Pisces energy, right? So this can also be a time when we have to get more serious and more Saturnian around our health, around our healing, around our wellness, around our self-improvement, around our self-development. It's going to be less of that, woo, I'm just healing in this like airy way. Saturn is going to come in and want us to actually have that true healing, that more grounded, practical ways of healing is going to be really important when Saturn moves into Pisces, right? It's also going to force a lot of people to look at their more, I would say, whimsical beliefs, their more whimsical ideologies, right? Because Saturn wants us to get serious, and Pisces can be that very lofty sort of energy. So it's getting more serious around what we believe in and if it's actually serving us in a more practical, pragmatic way as well, too. All right? And Saturn can want us to get more serious around our spiritual practices, around our spiritual beliefs, where it's like showing up and actually showing up for a practice daily, right? I've talked about this in my other video where I discussed Saturn. Saturn is a very spiritual energy, but it's spiritual in the way that it wants you to humble yourself. It wants you to do the work. It wants you to do the groundwork. It wants you to just, be disciplined about your spirituality and about your practices. All right. And we can also find too, I would say with Saturn going into Pisces, collectively, people actually might take spirituality and astrology and these more metaphysical fields more seriously. So the world might start actually be taking these practices more seriously over these next 3 years as well, too. All right. Great time for spiritual and personal development in a way that is actually practical. It's like merging that Saturn practical energy with the Pisces. I just want to float away into meditation energy and bringing it together and having it a more pragmatic approach is going to be that Saturn moving into Pisces. All right. Now, there's also going to be a time period when we have to really get serious and disciplined around our more lofty goals in our life as well, too. So Saturn is that very serious, focused energy. Pisces can rule our dreams, it can rule our visions, it can rule, the things that we believe in on this more lofty sense, this more sort of idealistic sense. So we're definitely going to feel a lot of stripping away of delusions around the things that we believe in, around our goals, around our visions, right? Where if we've been doing the same thing over and over again, it's not working on that practical plane of existence, Saturn and Pisces can strip away a lot of those dreams and visions and goals that aren't working, right? We have to kind of rework the way that we've been working towards our goals. We have to rework the way that we've been working in our more idealistic, dreamy places, right? So if someone's like an artist, if someone is very Pisces by nature and then Saturn moves into Pisces, they might realize like, hey, I might have to actually do this in a different approach because nothing is moving around the things that I'm creating, right? So it's going to bring this more practical energy to our creativity, to our visions, to our dreams, to our goals, right? And that's actually kind of beautiful because the thing is like life is always that balance, right? We can't just meditate in the ashrams all day. We can't just sit around and dream all day and expect something to come out of thin air. Right? So if we bring in that Saturn energy into Pisces, we can have some really amazing things happen where we can bring those goals, we can bring those dreams, we can bring those visions into reality in a way that is tangible, in a way that is real, in a way that is practical and grounded. So if you're like a more artistic type of person, when Saturn moves into Pisces, you can find that your creativity is activated in a more practical way of like, oh, okay, to become a successful artist, I realize that I have to practice my art every day, things like that. Oh, to become a musician, I'm probably going to have to take that class that's going to improve my voice, something like that, right? Saturn moves into Pisces. Oh, I'm going to have to get that certification to become, a good healer or astrologer. It's like that when Saturn moves into Pisces. We're going to find ourselves having to move within systems to get our best results spiritually or creatively, right? So it's not about working against those like systems and structures with Saturn. It's about actually moving within it and making change in those more systematic places. So for example, like me as a Vedic astrologer, when Saturn moves into Pisces, I might want to like work, part-time in a school or like, something like that. I'm just giving you guys an example, but that would be like me bringing that Pisces energy into Saturn, bringing it into systems, bringing it into structure, right? Where I think a lot of times we have this misconception that those two things can't go together, right? Oh, we have to have this more spiritual path and it has to be away from society, it has to be away from structures, it has to be away from systems. But we can actually make the most profound change when we bring that Pisces energy into the systems and into the structures, right? Because what would be more helpful and more healing than bringing practices like meditation, like astrology into schools, into school systems, right? That's going to be that energy of Saturn and Pisces. How can we bring all that Piscean energy and merge it into the systems and into the structures? So it's about bringing all of those more metaphysical, spiritual healing techniques into the systems and into more pragmatic spaces, okay? So there can be some collective movement where different people are trying to do that, all right? And another aspect of this is we are going to find a lot of the delusions, a lot of the smoke and mirrors, if you want to say it like that, especially as Rahu has been with Venus and Pisces this past month. We're also seeing through a lot of the delusions of those who claim to be healers, who claim to be this and claim to be that, who actually are visionary in some way as well too. So Saturn coming into Pisces is going to have us question, is that healer real? Is that spiritual person actually doing the right work? Questions like that are going to come in. So we might find some restrictions collectively around gurus and healers where we're really questioning how genuine or how real or how practical a lot of those types are as well too. When Saturn moves into Pisces, we're questioning a lot of that Pisces energy. All right, so that's going to be really important. We're bringing that sort of metaphysical, universal love, consciousness, creativity, art, all of that energy of Pisces, which is ruled by the Venus energy in Vedic astrology, bringing it into Saturn. We're bringing it into question. We're bringing it into more practical, pragmatic places. All right. bringing our dreams into reality. That's very important. And with Saturn moving into Pisces, there can actually be some sort of collective movement where people are really restricting a lot of their addictions and a lot of their escapism tendencies. So this can be a time when sobriety can be a really big topic, a really big movement, because Pisces is also the ways that we escape. So when Saturn goes into that sign of Pisces, it is restricting collectively the desire to escape or the feeling of being able to escape as easily. So we can see some sort of movements and conversations that are coming out more and more in the next 3 years around sobriety, around cutting out those ways that we try to escape, right? Because here's the thing, is when Saturn is there, Saturn is harsh on us, right? Saturn is trying to show us something that is not working anymore, something we have to get serious around. And Pisces is that energy of wanting to merge, wanting to escape into, right? And addictions and escapism can actually manifest in a various amount of ways, right? It can be food addiction, it can be alcohol addiction, it can be drug addiction, it can be even addiction to a person, right? So when we have this like Saturn and Pisces, we're going to have to look at a lot of our dependencies, a lot of our codependency, whether it's to people, substances, whatever ways that we escape. Saturn is coming there and is trying to show us how to get more practical and pragmatic around it. So I do feel like intuitively, but also astrologically, we're going to start seeing a lot more conversations around people talking about, yeah, I want to get sober, I want to cut out substances, I want to cut out these foods, I want to cut out even sexual addictions or sexual compulsions as well too when Saturn moves into Pisces. You know, the more like celibacy movement of sobriety. We're going to see a lot of that with Saturn and Pisces because we are being forced to look at our issues around codependency and all these various aspects as well too. All right. Because the beautiful thing about Pisces energy is it wants to merge, it wants to be one with the spiritual and the consciousness, and I want to merge with this person, and I want to merge with this thing, and I want to merge with this substance, right? But then Saturn is coming there, and that's not going to work going forward. You're going to have to take that higher octave of that Pisces energy, which is like, let me heal myself and let me step into my purpose, and through that, I can actually do much more good than when I'm trying to escape into things with Saturn and Pisces. All right. We're also going to see a huge theme collectively of people having to step into their purpose, right? Because Saturn is getting serious. Pisces is that energy of purpose and healing and the collective. So people are going to start feeling, best believe it, over these next 3 years, like if I'm not living in my purpose and then the Saturn comes into Pisces transit occurs, people are going to have a little bit of a, I want to call it maybe like a existential sort of, crisis, maybe not that extreme. It can be very minute, but they can have this sort of existential philosophical breakdown of, am I living in my purpose? Am I doing the thing that's going to help society move forward? Am I connected to that purpose? Because Pisces is very connected to universal consciousness, purpose, giving back, service. Pisces is that energy of service and healing, right? So when Saturn goes there, we're going to find over the next 3 years that so many people are awakening and having kind of this like crises about, am I living in my purpose? Am I giving back to society? Am I helping? Am I being of duty? Am I, all those sort of questions about purpose as well too. All right. Now, I do think that there are going to be major changes and major questions within the healthcare system over these next 3 years because Saturn is systems, Pisces connects to healing and health and wellness. So I think when we see the Saturn move into Pisces transit over the next 3 years, we are going to see some, push to shift things within healthcare systems specifically. So maybe there's going to be some question of, changing the systems of healthcare that exist currently over these next 3 years. We can also see a lot of people getting very serious and very focused around their health, around their well-being, around their wellness. This is honestly a beautiful time with the Saturn transit over these next 3 years to be a healer, to work in more healing fields, because Saturn is going there. So collectively, we're all taking those healing fields more seriously, right? And then Saturn is also the karaka, the indication of work. So we're going to find a lot of people over these next 3 years want to go into more healing, helping fields as work, as their jobs, right? That's also going to be Saturn moving into Pisces, all right? But because it restricts as well too, we are going to see these issues around restrictions within the healthcare system where people are going to be very fed up by issues that exist within the healthcare systems. Anything that's like blocking people from being able to heal, we're going to see like movements, or we're going to see, you know, collective issues around that. So we might see people being like, we need to really fix this healthcare system. We really need to make changes within the healthcare system. And that is absolutely going to be Saturn in Pisces the next 3 years. Best believe it. All right. Now, a very other important aspect of this is going to be when Shani or Saturn moves into Pisces, there can be an up level in natural disasters connected to water. Saturn rules restrictions and issues. Pisces is the water. So when Saturn goes there and restricts, we can see more issues coming up around water. We can see more natural disasters, for example, flooding, you know, earthquakes, tsunamis, etc. We can also see various countries having issues within their water. Perhaps they're not able to access water as easily, right? Saturn moving into Pisces will show these collective themes, these collective issues coming up around the water and the ocean, right? And also this can connect to animals that live in the water. We might find a lot of people are really more focused or more concerned as well with like animal rights, with issues around the water. There can be this huge shifting collectively into focusing back in on those themes, all right? That's going to be the movement of Saturn into Pisces, which connects to the sea, connects to the ocean, connects to the waters, right? Can it cause issues there? Yes. But also it's going to make us get more serious around it and have this feeling of duty of like, oh, we actually need to do something about this, right? The beauty of Saturn or Shani is Saturn is like, let's do something about this, you know, and then Pisces is the energy of like universal love and universal healing and the waters and the ocean and the animals that exist in the water and healthcare, right? So if Saturn goes there, we're going to get serious around those issues collectively and actually want to make changes to them, okay? Because I want to emphasize this point again. When Saturn goes into Pisces, it is not about working. It's not about healing outside of all of the structures. It's actually about working and healing within the structures and trying to make some sort of change within them. All right. So that's going to be a huge focus these next 3 years. All right. And I really do feel like there's going to be some sort of discussions around, should we bring healing into these traditional spaces? Should we have an astrologer at the schools, which is one of my dreams, by the way. So those questions can really come up over the next 3 years of, should we be bringing those more Pisces energies into the Saturn places, into the traditional places, into the structured places, into the places that are opposite of that Pisces energy, right? Now, Pisces is also the energy of dissolving. Okay, so when Saturn goes into Pisces, we're dissolving a lot of our delusions. We're dissolving a lot of our codependency tendencies. We're dissolving a lot of those feelings of escapism as well, too. All right, so I really do strongly believe that collectively sobriety is going to be a big movement going forward this next 3 years. I think you're going to start hearing a lot of your celebrities, your favorite celebrities. A lot of people are going to start talking about how they're sober, how they're not engaging in casual sex. We're going to start hearing a lot of that restrictive energy around Pisces themes, which connects to escapism and drugs. And Pisces is very Neptunian in that way. In Vedic astrology, Pisces connects to Venus, yes, but it still has that Neptune quality to it, where it likes to escape, it likes to avoid. It likes to merge. And so what's more of that merging than escaping into drugs and substances and sex and etc., right? So when Saturn goes there, it's like, no. You got to restrict those things and you got to get serious around those things, all right? So we are going to 100% see this collective shift into wanting to move away, wanting to restrict all the ways that we escape, all the ways that we make ourselves feel better that isn't going to actually give us true growth or true healing in the long run. All right, that's also going to be that energy of Saturn and Pisces. All right. The beauty of this transit, and something that I'm really, really excited for, is if you are a more, metaphysical sort of spiritual person and you kind of like that Pisces energy naturally, Saturn going here is going to be like, oh, we're all collectively getting more serious around it. We're taking it more seriously. We're being more serious towards those things. So where like maybe in this Saturn and Aquarius time period, there's been more of that like Aquarius energy, which has been more so about like collective change and wanting to change things around like government. And it's been a lot of that energy. When Saturn goes into Pisces, we're going to want to change things in a more healing way, a more spiritual way, a more sort of emotional way. Okay. So it's going to be a really great time for daily spiritual practice. It's going to be a beautiful time for healers and anyone who works a more metaphysical job to actually step into their purpose these next 3 years. I definitely see that going on astrologically. It's going to be a time period where like healing is going to be a huge theme. Traditional healing and also non-traditional healing is going to be really on the forefront these next 3 years. So if you're like going into a field of healing, I'm like, this is the time. These are the next 3 years to do it, to go for it, but also take it seriously and be very pragmatic towards it, right? Like if you want to become an astrologer, for example, get your training, like learn how to be an astrologer in a proper Saturn way, all right? If you want to become a energy healer, take your courses, take your classes, right? If you want to become a nurse, take your courses, take your classes, right? We have to get more serious around those themes of healing and wellness. It's not this like airy-fairy. Saturn is forcing us to actually get serious around our dreams, around our visions, and around our healing and our health and our wellness these next 3 years, all right? So this is what we can expect from Saturn shifting into Pisces, and we are going to feel this huge collective movement where everyone is like, oh, I'm actually so focused on my health and my healing and my well-being, and it can be very beautiful, right? The higher octave of Saturn moving into Pisces is going to be a very serious, very practical approach to our well-being, to our health, to our wellness, to our spiritual practices, to our creativity, to love, to all these things. We're taking a more serious, pragmatic approach. All right. So I'm personally very excited for this transit. Of course, you guys want to look to where it, activates in your personal chart. That's going to tell you so much about where you're going to feel all this Saturn energy, where you're going to have to get more serious, more practical about it. All right. But collectively, I do think it's going to shift us into a place where we're really focused on healing and healthcare systems and wellness and animal rights, and we're going to really connect to the ocean and the animals that live in the waters, and we might feel this like universal compassion that comes back to us where we actually remember, oh, these are the roots of what's really important. Taking care of our animals, taking care of the waters, right? There's going to be a lot of that energy come back when Saturn moves into Pisces. All right, so let me know down below if you guys are excited for this transit, where it's going to activate in your personal chart, and if I can, I'll try to respond and let you know some themes based on the house that it's going to in your personal Vedic astrological chart. Remember, we're only doing Vedic sidereal astrology on this channel. But overall, I think it's going to be a really exciting shift of energy out of Aquarius and into Pisces, and I am quite excited, actually. All right. I hope you guys have such a beautiful, blessed day, and we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.